What's up, guys? Do you know what day it is? That's right. It's Book Haul Day! Are we done here? That's right. All right, guys. Yeah, I got another stack of books. Let's get into it. First, I want to talk about the one I'm reading right now, and this is the sequel to Beyond Redemption, and that is The Mirror's Truth by Michael R. Fletcher. Guys, I just finished Beyond Redemption, and I jumped immediately into this one. Beyond Redemption, I'll have that review coming out soon. One of the best grimdark reads I've ever read. Periods. I had to just jump right into the sequel. This one, I'm about maybe a quarter way through, and it's just, man, I love this series. I love the world. A lot of fun. The Manifest Delusion series. It's just, man, it's very original, very thought-provoking. Just the magic system in the world. I mean, you can think of an infinite amount of possibilities here. A lot of fun, though very dark and not going to be for everybody. The next two are the same author, Michael R. Fletcher. Man, like I said, after reading Beyond Redemption, I was pretty sold, so I went out and I got quite a few of his books. And the one I'm really interested in reading right now, after The Mirror's Truth, is this one, The Black Stone Heart. This is a new series that Fletcher's got going. From what I understand, it's basically like a very bad and broken man, and his heart has been shattered by a woman or somebody, and parts of it have been scattered across the land, and he's out trying to find bits and pieces of his heart and put them together just so he can kind of remember the horrible person that he is. It sounds awesome. It's getting a lot of really good reviews and rants and stuff on social media, so I'm so excited to get into this one. Yeah, hopefully you can see the cover. It's a little shiny. And the other one is Smoking Stone, and now I got to admit, I don't know much about this one. I even heard, though, that Michael R. Fletcher himself said this one, I think, it's a little bit more like political and like political intrigue. There's a bunch of stuff. Addiction. Just sounds very strange. Definitely interested in checking it out. At this point, like, Michael R. Fletcher is really fast becoming one of my favorite authors. Next up, it's another author that I've been trying to keep my eye on. It'll be my first book of his that I've ever read, but it's definitely looking to get into it. Is Paternus. Now, this is the Paternus trilogy. This is book one. This is by Dirk Ashton. Oh gosh, what was it like? Somebody was saying this is like American Gods meets the Avengers. It sounds awesome. It's like a urban fantasy. Like I said, Dirk Ashton is definitely a guy I've been keeping my eye on. I really like how he engages on social media with fans and whatnot. Really, that really moves your stock up in my book. So I'm really interested in getting into this trilogy. I'm definitely getting into book one as soon as I can. I don't know if I'll continue the trilogy until maybe next year. There's a couple series I'm looking into getting into book one this year and then just continuing it next. So this is being one of those. Hope we can get that cover right on. And then we got Priesta Bones by Peter McLean. Now, a lot of you probably have heard about this book because recently it's been getting a lot of good reviews, a lot of good hype. I know it's been said kind of to be like fantasy meets The Godfather, like fantasy and gangsters. From people that I've heard from that have actually read it, I get what I've been told, and even in like a lot of the reviews, it's really been told as more of like a Peaky Blinders kind of meets fantasy. Either way, I'm always down for adult fantasy, adult low fantasy. That's awesome. I don't think this is a grimdark tale, but it's something that's got plenty of grit. And I'm definitely looking forward to tearing into it in the future. And then, bam! Scourge of the Betrayer. Now, this is by Jeff Saliards, and this is it came out a couple years ago. This is the first novel in a series. This had a lot of good like hype around it when it first came out. It's a military kind of grimdark fantasy. I don't know that much more about it. I do know that the first book is fairly quick, the others being a bit larger, and I kind of like that. Sometimes like it's nice to have the first book a little short, so it's easy to dip your toe in the world and see if you want to commit to those other bigger books. But either way, like I said, there's been a lot of good praise around this series. I'm not sure when I'm going to be getting into it, but definitely going to be. And speaking of that grimdark military fantasy, cha-ching! That's right, guys. The Black Company. Now, these are the last two installments, like as far as omnibuses. This is the last bit I needed to finish out the Black Company, at least the original series. So I'm glad I got these picked up, but I'm also put a pin in it because I have big news when it comes to the Black Company, the channel, and the Discord. Starting in January of 2021, we will be doing the Black Company read-along. So I will be doing I'll be posting the reviews of each book on my channel, but we will be doing a read-along on the Discord, for the channel Discord, the Grimdark Discord that we've just started. The link will be in the channel. So basically, guys, what we're going to do is we will be going through one book a month, all 10 books, so I'm just sticking to the 10 original books. I'm not counting the newer book that came out a couple years ago that's technically like 1.5 or 2.5. We're not going through that. Just the 10 original, and pretty basic reading order. The only difference being that it's not one of these. In the second omnibus, the Books of the South, book number 6, The Silver Spike, we will actually be reading that as number 4. So, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward reading order. One book a month, starting in January, so it'll last most of the year. And like, yeah, I'll have that link in the description, guys. So you got plenty of time to get the books. They're really easy to get your hands on. The series is old, so, I mean, you can even find these things in used bookstores all over the place. So easy to get your hands on if you guys are interested in getting into one of the coolest, one of the most like epic dark military fantasy tales that's, you know, really just, this thing has inspired so many other stories. You know, we might not have gotten a lot of stuff that we got without the Black Company. So if you guys feel like you're ready to sign up, drop on down to the Discord. The only way out of the Black Company, guys, is feet first. All right. Don't know if you can hear that lawnmower out there, but that guy is obviously not going to give up. So neither are we. Moving on. Evil is just a matter of perspective, guys. At least that's what they feel down there at Grimdark Magazine. Haha. Now this is a collection of short stories by Grimdark Magazine that is basically, you know, this has some of the best adult fantasy authors out there, especially when it comes to dark, gritty tales. One I'm really looking forward to on here is Teresa Frohock. I read Miserere earlier this year, and that was a huge, like, hidden gem to me. I really enjoyed it, so I'm interested into, like, her little segment in here. As well as it's got some, like I said, it's got great authors in here, and it has Jeff Salyard's in here as well, so just as, you know, that Scourge book we were talking about, so interested to seeing his. Alex Marshall is somebody, excuse me, guys. Alex Marshall is somebody that I have had my eye on for a minute and definitely want to get into their books. So I'm interested in what little installment they have here as well. We have Michael R. Fletcher, who I'm just so impressed with recently. And then also in here, man, really impressive is R. Scott Baker. And before, I used to say Backer. I just recently realized I've been saying it wrong for a long time. So R. Scott Baker has a story in here, and I haven't gotten into the Prince of Nothing trilogy yet, but I'm really interested in seeing what he's got in here. I am planning on clearing out my entire December, guys, to just kind of tackle the Prince of Nothing trilogy, the first trilogy there. Yeah, so December is really where I'm not a big fan of doing TBRs, but I've made a pretty big commitment, and I'm dedicated to sticking to it. It's such an epic and like well-loved Grimdark series. I just don't want to end the year without accomplishing it. So we're going to be getting into that. So yeah, this should be really cool. I think that short stories are a great way to just kind of get a little insight into an author's prose, just the way they like to tell, their storytelling. It's a good way to tell if maybe you want to spend more money and go further down the rabbit hole with them, I don't know. Next, I picked up the War Eternal trilogy by Rob J. Hayes. Now, Rob J. Hayes is another guy I'm keeping my eye on. I read Never Die not too long ago, and it really impressed me. Enough for me to go out and buy an entire trilogy of Rob's. So, I really only know a little bit about the first book, not too much about the next two. But I really, really like the premise, I guess, on the first book. What is it? Along the Razor's Edge. This basically has a female protagonist. She's got powers and stuff, but they've been like stripped away from her, and she's been put in this like prison pit, and she basically has to survive, try to figure out how to get out and kind of get her powers back or whatnot. This sounds like an amazingly cool this is right up my alley. I like fucked up dark shit like that. That's just, yeah. So plus I really dug Rob J. Hayes' Never Die. So if his prose is similar, I mean everything, if his writing is, yeah, I know I'm gonna probably enjoy this. So don't know how soon I'm gonna get into it, but I do want to try to get book 1 done this year, so then I can go into the trilogy next year. The Lessons Never Learned being book 2. I think Felix Ortiz does the art on these. Yeah, and he's a killer artist. I'm starting to notice him on a lot of covers that I enjoy as well. Next being From Cold Ashes Risen. Like I said, these other 2 books, I don't know nothing. I don't know what's going on in them, guys. I just really signed up for the trilogy because of liking Never Die and really digging the premise on book 1. So I'm not really a huge fan of committing to 3 books without reading 1, but I like to support authors that I'm digging at the time. And right now, man, like Dirk Ashton, Michael R. Fletcher, and Rob J. Hayes are the 3 guys I'm just throwing money, at Amazon. Next, Sunset Mantle. What's the author's name? Altair Reese, I believe, is the author's name. I actually found out about this because of the cover. It's a Richard Anderson cover, so, I mean, that's really how I found out about Sunset Mantle. Now, the cool thing about this is a standalone novella, and it's very hard to find fantasy novellas. With the amount of world building and, like, character fleshing out, all this stuff that goes into fantasy novels, it's not really easy to really put that in such few pages. So you don't really get them as much as you do like in horror or sci-fi and stuff. So I was really, really intrigued by it just being a fantasy novella. This is a really good thing to have for like a palate cleanser, something in between series or just maybe even during a reading slump. The premise is basically we have kind of like an honorable exile who ends up taking refuge in this reach, which then eventually kind of comes under attack, and then where the character could easily walk away, but he's kind of gotten to this point where he's decided he likes where he's at, and he's going to take a stand with these people and defend the reach. Yeah, it sounds actually kind of cool. That's what I'm saying. Like, not only is it nice to find a fantasy novella, like everything about the book sounds awesome. So really, I'm going to try to fit this in as soon as I can. It's very short. So, I mean, and this is, like I said, just trying to get that in where I can. Get in where you fit in, kids. Another novella that I picked up was this guy, ChaChaNoctua. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Noctuide, I don't know, by Scott Nicolay. Now this is a tripped out sounding novella. This kind of reminded me of something that my buddy over at Max Reads would read. I hope maybe he does get his hands on that. Maybe we could both read this and kind of share notes. If you haven't been over at Max's channel, you should go take a look. He does awesome reviews, and he covers just the right kind of stuff, in my opinion. He's really into vampires. He's covered a lot of Dresden Files stuff, and he's into that strange, kooky sci-fi, just like this guy. I will put I'll put his channel in the description. So that's gonna be Max Reads. He's got a great little catch line in the beginning of his videos. But anyway, this one is tripped out, little short guy. Basically like some campers, I think it's in Arizona or something, some weird stuff goes down. A couple of them go missing, some seek refuge in a cave, and it sounds like some psychological kind of stuff plays out. Right up my alley. Next, I was actually really fortunate to get a copy of Nightmare by Chad Nicholas. Chad hit me up and asked me to do a review of the book, and it's exactly what I'm gonna do. Alex, crap, I can't pronounce his last name, so we're just gonna say Alex from Alex's channel, and I'll put a link in there. He did a review of this book. Chad sent him a copy as well to do an ARC read, and I really enjoyed Alex's review of this book, and I got really excited because I knew I had a copy coming. So it's here. I'm going to try to get this out probably right before Halloween, maybe a little sooner because I did hear that there's like a sale going on. But anyway, this sounds like an awesome horror read. There's like a 300-something page count in here, but I was noticing how it's like set up. It's like, man, there's not that many like words on each page, so you're gonna fly through this thing. The cover is just cool. Yeah, really beautiful looking book. Excited to get into this guy. And last but not least, this is not really technically a haul book. This is more or less just me hauling the book off of my shelf. It's been collecting dust for too long, and a couple of us down at the Discord that I just started have been talking. You know, we're trying to cover a lot of these Grimdark series. One that's is always on the lists, and I've had for a while. I tried to get into it a while back. I just wasn't really ready for Richard K. Morgan's prose. It's definitely way more classical and dense than I'm used to. I do think that I am ready at this point. But anyway, we'll just talk about it, man. The Steel That Remains, or is it The Steel Remains? I think it's just The Steel Remains. And my copy is obviously a little beat up. But yeah, this is Richard K. Morgan. You might know him from Altered Carbon. But yes, this is actually supposed to be one of the darker Grimdark series. This was really like one of those like deconstructions of the happy ending. It's known for having extremely graphic violence and, just like rape and all kinds of stuff. It's just, there's often warnings that go with this series that it just might be a little too dark for some. So, I mean, I don't know. But we're definitely going to be getting into this. There's a bunch of us over on the Discord that are all going to be cracking into this bad boy in October. So basically, it kind of turned into a buddy read, and now there's several of us. So it's just like, it might as well be a read along, and it'll be a great little kind of primer for next year when we do the Black Company read along. So if anybody's interested in reading The Steel Remains and starting the Land Fit for Heroes series, yeah, just come on down to the Discord. Like I said, I'll have the link in the channel. We'll be covering it this October, right? All right. Whoa. That's right. That's going to be it for the books of September 2020, guys. That's my haul, yeah. And on it, like I said, there's probably not a huge, there's not much structure to all that, The one thing I will, and I have dedicated myself, is to that reading the Prince of Nothing trilogy in December, and also the read-along for The Steel Remains in October for this year. That's really what I've absolutely committed to. Everything else is just in the ether, guys. It, could or couldn't happen. But yeah, like I said, I'm currently reading The Mirror's Truth. Gonna get that stomped out, and then finishing the last argument of Kings. So please keep an eye out. I got lots of awesome book reviews coming your way. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Thank you for spending some time at the channel, guys. Peace.